Sergeant,
Stand at ease, sir.
Exactly.
Stand at ease. Easy.
Morning, madam.
Morning.
Captain Smythe. My men and myself are out on target practice, and as it's rather a long way from the camp, I wonder if we could possibly use your outside lavatory?
Oh, yes, Captain, of course. It's just round the back.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Attention! Right turn! Spread out! Range 25 yards, commence firing.
Thank you very much, and good evening, and welcome to the show. One of my favorite parts of England, the part of England that I enjoy much more than anywhere else, is the West Country. I love the West Country because it's very gentle. They're very gentle people, and they're very soft. They've got a nice, casual way to life. And I was down there, and I said to a West Country man, I said, tell me, I said, why are you much more gentle in your approach to life in this part of the world than they are all over England? And he said, well, he said, down here we've got a philosophy in which we believe never do today what you can do tomorrow. You're Irish. You must have a very similar sort of policy over there as well. I said, yes, we do, but it doesn't have the same sense of urgency. You get an Irish medical student doing his final exams, the oral part of it, and the examiner holds up a little glass thing, and he said, what is that in there? And he said, I think that's a kneecap. He said, it's a human brain. He said, what is this? And he said, that's a left foot. He said, it is a skull. What is this? He said, that's a jawbone. He said, it is a leg. I find it rather remarkable that after 5 years of studying medicine, that you come in here for your final examination and you know nothing at all. The fellow said, well, sir, I thought the exam was tomorrow. You get a fellow in a bar. Another fellow goes up and he says, what's that big purple mark on your face there? He said, that's a birthmark. He said, how long have you had it? You get a fellow got a bang on the nose, on the top of the nose, and he's in the pub, and everybody he talks to, they all come up to him and said, what happened to your nose? He said, I got banged on it. And somebody else comes up and he says, what happened to your nose? He said, I got banged on it. And after about 18 times, he's sick of it. Somebody else comes up and says, what happened to your nose? He said, I bit it. So how the hell did you do that? He said, I climbed up on a chair. You get a drunk coming home late at night. He goes in the front door, and his wife is sleeping upstairs, and suddenly she's woken up by this terrible crash. And she said, what's going on down there? And he said, the goldfish attacked me. The other two fellows talking, and one says, do you know what I've done? I have crossed my budgie with an eagle. And they've given birth to a baby. And I've called it a bugle. And he's yellow. And he stoops all over. And he's 4.5 feet tall. And he sits in a big cage, and his friend says, does he sing? He says, of course he doesn't sing. He sits there occasionally and goes, tweet! the bar in Ireland. And the fellow says, do you have good fishing in this part? And this fellow says, do we have good fishing? Oh, God, oh, no, not by I tell you. We have got the greatest fishing in the world. The fish are thick in the water. You don't even have to put a rod in. You just go down and grab them and pull the things out. Big salmon, that big. I tell you what, when you're on your way home tonight, you look over the bridge when you're going over the bridge and get your friend there to hold you over by the legs. And just lean in there and pick the big salmon out of the water.
And they go, and he said, we'll try that when we get to the bridge. I said, yeah.
And they get to the bridge and he's hanging over upside down. He's there for about 3 minutes, hanging upside down, waiting for a salmon. And all of a sudden he shouts out, pull me up! He says, do you have a salmon? He said, no, there's a train coming. The orchestra. You get the orchestra, which has a reputation for being very undisciplined, very bad. And consequently, a new conductor is brought in, and he stands on the podium, and he looks at this orchestra, and he says, all right, well, things are going to change now that I am here in charge. This orchestra is going to have a completely fresh look. When I call a rehearsal for 10 o'clock, you will be here at 10 o'clock, not 10:30, not 11:45. When we have a break for tea, nobody goes to the pub. There's no card playing on the stand. I am going to turn this orchestra into the most professional, beautiful orchestra. Now, anybody here who doesn't want to sit in this orchestra under my baton can get out now. And the drummer goes, brrrr, ching. And the conductor says, when I find out who did that, he's fired. You get the other two drunks talking at one time and say, he said, how do you get down from an elephant? You climb down. He said, no, you don't. He said, well, you slide down his tail. He said, no, you don't. Well, you say, hey, Jumbo, up trunk, and he puts the trunk up, and you say, down trunk, and he takes you down with his trunk. He said, no, you don't. He said, well, you give him a punch in the ear, and when he's falling over, you jump off him. No, you don't. He said, well, how do you get down from an elephant? He said, you don't get down from an elephant, you get it from a goose. He said, how do you get down from a goose? He says, it's easy, it's not as tall as an elephant. You ever have days where everything goes wrong? Well, you wake up in the morning, you're sitting in bed, you're having your cup of tea, your first cigarette, and you're not feeling all that good anyhow. And you go to take the cigarette out of your mouth and it sticks on your lip. And your fingers run right down and nip the top, which falls on your belly. And you're up out of the bed like a rocket. And the tea goes everywhere, all over the place. And you put your foot on a hot water bottle. Well, a cold hot water bottle. And you watch a jet of water about 6 foot streak across the room onto your dressing gown. And you sneeze at the same time into the ashtray. And you're covered in ash. And your dressing gown is all white, so you put your wife's dressing gown on. And you're looking in the mirror trying to get the ash out, and you're going... And you know you're being looked at. And you turn around, and there's the window cleaner looking at you. Good morning, sir. And you know it's one of those days. And we all have them.
Time, mate. Well, what's the matter with you? Wait a minute. Well, tell me a thing. Why don't you two blokes shake hands and make up?
All right? All right, feelings?
All right.
Shake.
Right.
Dad?
What?
I'm on Samaritan phone duty tonight, and I must nip out for some cigarettes. So
What was that?
Samaritan phone duty.
Samaritan phone duty.
Yeah, so if anyone phones, tell them to hang on.
20. Hello, Samaritans here. Can I help you?
Not exactly. You won't remember me.
Samaritans here. Can I help you?
Well, not exactly. You won't remember me, but a number of years ago, I was in a rather desperate situation. I rang you up. You were so helpful. You were actually very, very wonderful. And
Samaritans here. Can I help you?
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, Samaritans calling.
A number of years ago, I was rather frustrated.
Samaritans here. Who's that?
It is me. What I'm trying to say is, I'm trying to ring up to say to thank you, because a number of years ago I was...
Hello? Hello? Can I help you?
Yes, you could help me. Please, if you would stop saying, can you help me?
Can I help you?
All I'm trying to say is that a number of years ago, I was in a rather desperate situation. I was
Hello?
extremely... Will you shut up, you stupid old fool, and listen to me?
Hello?
I'm just trying to tell you that I'm completely cured now, and I'm ringing up to thank you. Do you understand that?
Hello, Samaritans.
Good, good, good.
Now, take it easy and don't do anything silly.
I came home the other night in a rather gritty mood. My wife can tell. And she said, what's wrong with you? And I said, well, I was in a pub having a drink, and there was a fellow talking politics, and he was talking the greatest load of rubbish, and I got livid. I stood there, and I wanted to hit him. And she said, well, what stopped you? I said, he did. And that fellow comes home from a pub with a black eye, and the wife says, where'd you get the black eye? He says, Murphy gave it to me. She says, Murphy? Seamus Murphy? He says, yes. She says, Murphy? That little runt! He said, don't speak ill of the dead. There was a character telling me that he had found actually the way to commit the perfect crime. He was going to kill his wife, but not with arsenic, or strangulation, or mock suicide. He was going to kill her by making love to her. He was going to make love first thing in the morning. He was going to make love before breakfast, during breakfast, after breakfast. Halfway through the morning, halfway through the afternoon, after tea, late at night, in the morning, any time. He would keep on making love, and she would die from making love. And I met him 4 months later, and he's sitting in his wheelchair. And his wife is bounding around picking up flowers. And he says, look at her, the silly cow. She doesn't know she's only got 5 months to live. We live in a society which, for some reason or another, violence is on the increase. And people say, why? Why are we becoming more violent? And I think we're becoming more violent because we're becoming more frightened. And people, to combat this fear, they go off and learn the martial arts, the art of self-defense, and therefore they become bigger and stronger. And then people become frightened of them, and they go off and learn how to defend themselves. And I think it's all rather silly, because if nobody knew how to defend themselves, nobody would attack. And if you don't agree with that, you're asking for a smack in the mouth. But in the serious business of self-defense, a little knowledge is a very, very dangerous thing. Now, Oshuro method by numbers. Okay. Number 1. Hey! Hey! Good, good. Number 2. Hey! Hey! Ha! Hey! Hey! Ha! All numbers. Number 1, number 2, number 3. Ha! 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 71. Hey! 82. Ha! Ha! Good. Are you ready to order, sir?
Oh, yes, I think so. What would you like, darling?
Oh, I'd like some sweet and sour.
Oh, splendid. And I'll have some of that, and that would be rather nice, and fried rice for 2. That'll be number 8, 20, 28, 40, and 54.
Number 8! Number 20! Number 28! Number 40! Number 54! You like a coffee to follow, sir? We get Bruce and Cecil meet one another. Cecil is on crutches. And Bruce says, what happened to you, fat fellow?
He said, well, I was having a drink last night. And a very big butchy fellow came in and stood beside me. And I said, would you like a drink? He said, yes, I'd like one. So I bought him one, and he bought me one. And then we bought one another drinks all night. And then I said, would you like to come back to my place?
And he said, no, you'd like to come back to my place.
So I went back to his place. And he lives in this big block of flats just there. And he went in, and I said, you're a big, strong man. And I gave him a kiss, and he picked me up, and he threw me out the window. I said, what floor was that? And he went, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hello, I'm not angry with you.
We're told to know thyself. That's what they tell us. Know thyself. I think it's much more important to know your neighbors. I mean, we all know our neighbors, but do we really know them? Because people are strange. There is an expression in which to say that all the world is queer, except ye and me. And I'm not too sure about ye. Come to think of it, I'm not too sure about me.
There we are, sir.
Oh,
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
How's it going then?
Oh, quite good.
Wife well?
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
How about the garden, eh?
Yes, well, my doves have been out. You're very good about
I heard that on the radio this morning. Amazing, absolutely.
I tell you, I saw you take it. I didn't, honestly. I've never stolen anything in the whole of my life, you little liar. I tell you, I saw you steal it. Then you're damn well mistaken.
How can I be mistaken? You stole it from right under my nose.
It wasn't me.
And then you put it in that pocket.
I did not.
Oh, yes, you did. Give it back.
No, I didn't.
Give it
That's
back.
your answer to
Give it
everything,
back
isn't
to
it?
me.
Physical
Ah,
attack.
got it. Just as I said. You stole it from right under my nose.
Good night. I, Dr. Jekyll, am gradually losing control to Mr. Hyde. He is getting stronger and stronger. He's taking my whole being over. Very difficult, that. Because they said to me, when you're walking, we want the top half of you to walk like a fella, and the bottom half to walk like a woman. Really, be quick. I mean, because up the top of you, you're going like this, and the bottom is going like a big fella. You get it all mixed up. People are odd. We're all odd. And the other thing about people is when they see the show and they don't like it, they write and tell us about it. And people who see the show and like it very, very seldom write. But I've had one very complimentary letter from a religious body, which, if I may, I'd like to read. And it says, "Dear David, and just a brief note to say thank you especially for all the religious sketches which give us great pleasure. Being in the religious business ourselves, naturally we see the humor of the situation. And we would like to say that we are not at all offended by the sketches regarding the confessional box, priests, nuns, coffins, and even the Pope falling backwards. May we wish you continued success. Best wishes, Rabbi Bernstein." I met a Jewish lady quite recently, a very wealthy Jewish lady, and her hands were covered in rings. She must have had about 3 rings on each hand. But all the stones were turned on inwards, into the hand. And I thought that was rather nice, because people talk about the Jewish people being ostentatious about their wealth. And I said to her, I said, it's very refreshing to meet somebody who is very modest about their wealth. And she said, "What do you mean?" "Modest? But you know how we people speak." We got the Jewish fellow who goes to the synagogue, kneels down and prays and said, God, my son has gone to Jerusalem and come back a Christian." A voice from heaven said, "It's funny you should say that." The fellow rushes into a barber shop and he said, "I'd like a shave." And the fellow said, "I don't do shaves. I'm not a barber. I am the person within the Hebrew religion who performs surgical acts upon young male Jewish boys." He said, "Well, why do you have a barber's pole outside?" He said, "What would you suggest?" You get the rabbi talking to the Pope. And he said, is it true? Is it true that all the people who began the Christian church were Jewish?" And the Pope said, "See." He said, "Your Lord was Jewish?" I said, "See." "His mother and his father were Jewish?" I said, "See." "The apostles were all Jewish?" I said, "See." "All the disciples, they were all Jewish?" "See?" He said, "It's amazing." He said, "What's amazing?" He said, "That the Jewish people will let a good business like the Roman Catholic Church be run by Italians." I think I mixed up my accents there, didn't I? Finished up with a Jewish Pope. An Italian rabbi. Oh, well. Well, if the Jewish people can have a giggle at us, or we can have a giggle at them, they must in turn have a giggle back at us. "And it came to pass that on the 7th day the children of Israel were encamped at Agath Shiloh. And it came to pass that on the 7th day the children of Israel were encamped at Agath Shiloh, which is the place of the ram, that Joshua took unto him Balaam, saying unto him, Verily, verily, verily. Sorry, God. Morning.
Morning.
consider Samson, that mighty son of Israel. Great was his strength when he slew the enemies of the Israelites. And then he was tempted by woman and sapped of his strength. Until one day, laughed at and alone and blind, he stood between two pillars. And he prayed for the Lord to give him strength. And as he prayed, strength flowed back into his arms, and he pushed. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. You're probably wondering why I invited you, who are avowed atheists, to meet in the house of God. But we have with us tonight one of the greatest theologians of the Roman Catholic Church, a man who by his powers of persuasion has made many people see the light. He is renowned for his ability to convert the non-believer. You might say a success rate of 99%. I give you Father Quinn.
Good evening, friends. Now, I want each and every one of you gathered here tonight to look into your hearts. And having looked, is there any person in this congregation who will stand up and definitely deny the existence of God?
I do.
Is there anybody else?
Songs of Praise tonight comes to you from the chapel of St. Engelbert's Monastery in Wapping. The knights in the choir are Trappists and have all taken a vow of silence. So here, the rendering of the Hallelujah chorus is St. Engelbert's Trappist Choir.
A very important part of the Irish way of life is death. See, if anybody else, anywhere else in the world dies, that's the end of it, they're dead. But in Ireland, when somebody dies, we lay them out and watch them for a couple of days. It's called a wake. And it's a party, it's a send-off. And the fellow's laid out on the table. And there's drinking and dancing and all the food you can eat. And all your friends come from all over the place. And they all stand around the wake table looking at you with a glass in their hands and they say, "Here's to your health." And the terrible thing about dying over there is that you miss your own wake. It's the best day of your life. You paid for everything and you can't join in. Mind you, if you did, you'd be drinking on your own. We have a custom. We have a custom that the dying man is allowed one question before he dies, which must be answered completely truthfully. Otherwise, the soul is damned. And you get a little fella dying. And he's got 4 sons, 3 of the biggest fellows you've ever seen in your life, and 1 skinny little puny nothing. And he's lying there and he's going, Mary, are you there, darling? Are you there? And she goes, I'm here, love. And I'm here beside you. I'm going. He says, I know. Don't hang about now. Mary, before I go, I'm going to ask you the question. Tell me now. Tell me, is that skinny little runt standing at the end of the bed, is he really my son? She says, he is. Honest to God, he is your son. And he goes, he And she goes, thank God he didn't ask about the other 3. And there was a custom actually, there is a custom that things would be put into the coffin. Like drink. And people would drop a bottle of whiskey in and say, you can have a drink on the way. And people would drop in a lump of ham and say, you can have a bite on the way. And money was put into the coffin because it might be needed. Huge wake, and the fellows laid out in the coffin. And they're all there. And there's one fellow there that they don't like, because he's a boastful type. And he suddenly stands up and he says, whatever money goes into the coffin, I will double it. So they said, right, we'll catch him. How much money have you got? And they gather up as much money as they can between them all, and it's £500, and they plunk it into the coffin. And they said, there you are, double that. And he writes out a check for 1,000, puts it in, and takes the 500 out. You get a fella, 93 years of age, he dies. And he was one of those people that lived a long life. Started off very tall, but as age gone on and on and on, he began to get more and more and more stoopy. And he finished up like that. Total kind of curvature on his spine. And when he died and they went to lay him down, every time they laid him down, he came up again. When they pushed the head down, the legs come up. When they push the legs down, the head comes up. They said, what the hell are we going to do without that? He said, well, I'll tell you what. I'll go out and I'll take the strap off the donkey's belly. And I'll stick it under your man's waistcoat and I'll strap him down onto the table. He said, now that's what I call good thinking there. You have got a bit of the grey matter up there, boy. With a brain like that, you should have been a bus conductor. They get the strap and they stick it under the waistcoat and they strap him down. And the wake is going like that. And all of a sudden the priest comes in. And he's one of those fire and brimstone fellas. And he said, I have it! And they all go, he said, I've been watching you. I have been watching you through the window. Drinking your man's drink. Telling him what a lovely fella he was. And for the last 25 years of his life, you have used him as an excuse for your vile, cruel, sadistical sense of humor. Because age had bent his spine. When he walked down the road in the morning, you didn't look at him and say, good morning, curvature of the spine. Did yous? Did yous? Yous didn't, and yous know yous didn't, don't yous? Yous do! You'd look at him and say, how are you going, Humpty? How's the hump, Hump? The weather going to be up or down today, Humpty? Yous did! And while the priest is ranting and raving, there's a fellow under the table with a sharp knife cutting the strap. And after about 2 minutes in the heat of the room, the fellow on the table goes, up he sits, the pennies drop from the eyes open, the little breath of air in the lungs, and they all go, he's alive! Boom, out the window, boom, out the door. The priest goes, he goes through the door. And as he's going through the door, he catches his pocket in the doorknob, and he goes, let go, you Humpty back devil! One final custom that we have in Ireland regarding death and a funeral is that only one person who is buried in a graveyard can go to heaven. Which basically means if two people are buried in the same graveyard on the same day, the last one in has got to wait till tomorrow. So can you imagine what would happen if one funeral met another funeral going to the same graveyard? Pipped at the last post. Good night. Thank you. May your God go with you.